It's time for a best of 5 series of top level StarCraft 2, where the highest ranked Protoss in the world is taking on the highest ranked Zerg. As you may have already guessed, spawning right here in the top left hand corner in game number 1. Playing with the red Protoss pieces, we have none other than Hero. His opponent down in the bottom right, going for a quick extractor trick. Of course, we have none other than Serral. This particular series is from the Esports World Cup. Now, if you've been watching every single one of my uploads very closely, you may have realized that I already uploaded Hero vs. Serral from the Esports World Cup. Well, it turns out these two, they played 2 best of 5 series. The very first one that I got to cast, I think about a week or so ago, absolute banger, one of the very best games, one of the very best series of StarCraft 2 I've ever seen. So I'm very excited to find out exactly what ended up going down between these two in the second match. So they played once in the upper bracket semifinals and then once as well in the lower bracket finals, meaning that both of them, well, they ended up losing a series. I know, insane. Even the very best in the game can sometimes lose. Alrighty, so let's see. It's gonna be a 15 supply hatchery here on the low ground for Serral into a pretty quick spawning pool as well. This is usually a build where you delay your gases, well, at least other than the ones for the extractor trick. You delay your gases for a little while, and you are obviously allowed to get that expansion going on the low ground, pretty much guaranteed. Even a 15 hatchery can be blocked on some maps, but generally speaking, especially on a map like this, you can get away with it even if Protoss starts off the game by immediately sending a probe across. So far, tiny little mind game right here going in favor of the finisher. Main problem, of course, here for the Zerg player is that he's not going to be able to get the Zergling speed nearly as quickly. And that's going to make the follow-ups here a little bit more tricky usually. So we'll have to keep an eye out on exactly when he decides to take those. Hero, in the meantime, once more, piling the wall off. He's been doing this a lot. He's gone for the Cyber Core at 20 supply, it seems. Same for that Nexus. We have a second pylon over here as well inside of the main base, and that is likely going to be the structure where the tech will be attached to. So it's probably going to be a Stargate. Most of the time in this matchup, it is going to be a Stargate opener for Protoss, but then again, it's Hero, and Hero has been mixing it up quite a bit, but no, not this time around. So remember that previous series that they played? Hero ended up going for a lot of Void Ray first. I'm curious to see whether or not that will be the case once again. He went for a lot of Void Ray first into denying everything from the Zerg player and then, well, throwing 17.5 curveballs. That was basically the strat. He's been playing a lot of straight up StarCraft though, without really going for any cheesy builds. He's been mixing it up a lot. There have been a lot of like Tempest openers and a lot of shenanigans in general. But broadly speaking, it's been very few of those, haha, got you now, buddy, type of attacks. It's a lot of macro builds where he's opening up a little bit differently than what we consider to be the norm. Now, okay, well in this case so far, everything is quite normal. We've got ourselves a Oracle to start things off. It is also a Stalker, and the Stalker is a little bit funky, I guess. I mean, it's the tiniest little bit of funk, nothing all too crazy, but usually Protoss players at this point, they do favor the Adept production. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, Serral has been mining a little bit of gas as of just now. He's also gone for the hatchery over at the third base. Adept is mostly just scouting. When you have a single Adept, it's hard to really get any real worker damage in. Nexus at 3 minutes and 40 seconds, though, is really fast. So, yeah. I don't think Serral's really going to do anything about it. He can't really, that's the thing, right? So I quite like this here from Hero. Hero knew that his opponent decided to go for a 15 hatch into a 15 pool. He knows that, of course, the gas geyser is going to be delayed with that strategy. So what is Zerg going to do about your super quick third? Honestly, he could have taken the third even faster. What is Zerg going to do? Without link speed? I mean, it just started. There's no way they're going to ever cancel that. Serral is going to get the follow-up scout here and just confirm whether or not it's continued Oracle production. So it will be a third Oracle. Despite the Stalker sleeping on the job, Zerg is still going to get a full scout. There's a Forge in the back of the mineral line too. Serral seems to almost be rallied right on top of that, and he will indeed see exactly what the opponent is going to go for. Nothing all too crazy again though. Should be a Forge in a Twilight Council, which is exactly what it is. Twilight Council has been planted over in the natural expansion. So even though we have some small mind games going on, all of this is very, very normal. Both players, though, just keeping each other honest. The main problem here for Hero so far is that he hasn't killed any drones. When you open up with triple Oracle, you really are aiming for at least like 6, 7, maybe 8 workers or so. That's like the bare minimum. Serral is known for his phenomenal early game defense. Okay? Nothing. Nothing -1 Oracle. So this is a horrible start for Hero now. When you commit this much into early game aggression, right? When you go for a very conventional build, you are expected to deal some sort of damage. Actually, the Zerg build orders are designed so that they can, well, probably lose like 5 workers or so without really falling behind. When you deal absolutely no damage whatsoever, not only is Serral just gonna keep holding down the drone button, well, he's gonna be able to get away with even more workers than he had earlier already. He sees the Adept move out too. Serral's gonna respond here by going into a Spire, which is a little curious to me. I don't really love the Spire, if I'm being honest, but we'll have to keep an eye out on exactly what the plan is in that regard. If he can keep it hidden from the opponent, I guess if he can suddenly show up with like a dozen Mutalisks, it is something that can deal damage. I don't think we're gonna see mass Muta here. It'll probably be like maybe 6 to 12 Mutas or so. Just one big group. Deal all the damage that you can and then, well, force out maybe a bunch of Phoenixes. Go back into regular Roach Raptor Zergling production. Okay, so Adept's looking around. He sees an infestation pit. That's nothing all too crazy. Robo Bay in the meantime. Serral keeps scouting. Okay, Serral's looking really good here so far. Finally, some worker kills. 4 drones. 6.5 minutes into the game. I don't love it. Did those Adepts fall? I guess so. Maybe not all of them. I think one of them got killed earlier, but that's now gonna make it very difficult to hold on to a potential 4th Nexus. Honestly, all of this is decent by Hero, but decent is not good enough against somebody of Serral's caliber. This is the Serral we're all used to seeing. He's only got a little bit of gas here. Okay, 8 Mutas. Yeah, and I think he's gonna go straight back to Roach Ravager production. The idea being just to deal a bunch of damage and then get back into your regular, good old scheduled programming. Keeps the Queen alive? My god. Just, this has been a really nice game here for Zerg. Okay. So, where do we go with the Mutas, right? If the Mutas can get some damage in, it's gonna be tough for Hero to really respond. At that point, the Roach Ravager timing attacks that follow on the back of it are gonna be nearly impossible to hold. There's a Disruptor on the production tab. I'm assuming the Roaches and the Ravagers are probably gonna go over here. There are a bunch of Photon Cannons. The Mutas have taken such a path across the map that they are completely unscouted until just now, and Hero is gonna start dropping a bunch of workers. Yeah, this is as close to a flawless game from Zerg as you can hope for. The Mutas seem a little bit unnecessary overall, but as far as like the first 8 minutes of a game go, it really doesn't get much better than this. I haven't seen any moment here for Serral where it hasn't gone his way. Ay. And for this to be game number 1 at a best of 5 series, it's gotta be very tilting as well for Hero. Because you've gone for a very normal style. It's just that everything you've done has fallen flat on its face. I'm assuming we're gonna see lurkers on the back of this from Serral too. So at the moment, Hero is gonna go into Phoenixes. He's gonna go into a bunch of ground units that are all good against Roach Ravager, but obviously they suck when it comes to fighting lurkers. So Serral a step ahead as well of the opponent in that regard. He's maximizing the damage, Phoenix production or not, on those Mutas. Phoenix may actually even go down if he's not careful. Gets a couple more probes on his way out. The one saving grace right here for Hero is that it's Golden Aura. So this is a map where Serral can't really just shove for the victory as easily. He doesn't mind. He can play the long game. It's not a problem. But I think on most other maps, Hero would have already gotten overwhelmed. Look at the supply count right now. Look at the cost efficiency here of the Zerg. Look at the army size compared to the opponent. This is a disgusting game. Zerglings going around. No unit will hold position because Hero is panicking most of this game long. And when he panics, he starts hitting the all army hotkey. Links flood into the natural, flood into the main base. Luckily, at least for Hero, he still has enough army parked over at the newly acquired 4th. And there is, I guess, a small chance that he gets back into this using the disruptors. The disruptors are obviously really good at potentially hitting a strike on all of those lurkers that are going to hit the battlefield. The only problem here for the Protoss is that there's already Vipers accumulating energy, and those Vipers are going to be primed and ready to abduct those disruptors one at a time. Serral slowly teching up. Hero's best chance right now is to hope that Zerg makes a gigantic blunder. It's a rough game, but it's not one where you can really tap out yet, right? There's always a chance that somebody messes up. Pro gamers are still humans, believe it or not. Prism goes down. Oh. Well, at least he got an expansion kill. That's nice and all, but now the lurkers are marching through the middle of the map. I think that expansion was actually bait here. That expansion was taken, so the Protoss player would indeed be moving in a direction where they wouldn't be able to get much done. At least the stasis wards are decent. Okay, quite like the stasis wards here. A lot of lurkers available. Yeah, a lot of that Protoss army is currently... Oh, a lot of the Zerg army here is currently asleep. The blinding clouds and the stasis wards are actually creating a funnel where all of those Protoss units are clumped up together. Serral maximizes the splash damage. Absolute domination in game number 1. Alrighty, game number 2. We find ourselves on Crimson Court. Yeah, I think everything went Serral's way that game. There wasn't really a moment where he didn't seem in full control, and any losses he had, they were all calculated decisions, right? It's gonna be pretty much impossible to play a, what was that, like a 15-minute game or so without losing anything, right? Technically speaking, you can't really call it a perfect game because you, I guess, always lose something. Those have happened in the past. I actually remember one from CEST in particular, where CEST went for like a 2-base timing attack and he literally did not lose anything during the entire game. Like, his micro on the Stalkers were so good that he didn't lose a single unit for an entire match. I don't think that's reasonable for Zerg, because obviously you have to sacrifice units for scouting. Overlords, for example, fly into bases all the time. Zerglings go around the map. I think for all intents and purposes, that was as close to a perfect game from Serral as you can really have. There may have been minor macro slip-ups too, right? I wasn't watching the entire game from his perspective. Maybe he missed the queen injectors. I don't know. Anyways, it is certainly a rough game though for Hero. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna change? Well, so far, nothing all too much. 20 supply nexus once again. Well, we're gonna start mining out some of those cheeky mineral fields. Fair enough. Should be a cyber core here as well. Okay, him mining out the mineral field is interesting. Usually though, you go for that one right over there, because an Overlord is going to be able to see everything very easily if it's on the, well, closer to the Zerg side of the map. Although I guess most of the time Zerg will see it anyways, but it's a good chance Serral's actually going to get a little peek at that golden mineral line here right from the very start. Yeah. I don't know if I like that too much, although maybe this is a peace offering. You know what? This is kind of a move right here from Hero. He is going to send the probe holding the golden minerals in its mouth across the map. That from the get-go is right away a bit fishy. Why is it a peace offering? Is he trying to be nice? Is he taunting you? It's hard to say, really. That probe is blinged out fully in gold. It's the rapper probe. Little Probius over here. It's beautiful. Alright, Serral once more will go for the forward expansion. He's become a big fan of this one on this map. I think he actually just doesn't like Crimson Court very much. And he's trying to make the game reasonably playable. But most of the matches I've seen him play on this map recently have been quite dominant too. So this rich Vespian Geyser opens up a lot of early game aggression, where you can just mine a couple drones in there and you can get a ton of Ravagers going in particular. So we'll have to keep an eye out here on what Serral decides to do. He did pull all the workers out of the gas. We don't have a Roach Warren or anything taken yet, but this is a map where you can certainly go for like a Queen drop or a Queen march or a Roach Ravager shove. There's many different variations that make Zerg very, very scary here in the early game. Once more, a Stargate opener here for Hero. It's just a single Oracle for now. Are we gonna do anything weird on the back of this? Okay, straight Twilight Council. So this is gonna be one Oracle. Well, I guess he didn't get anything done with the triple Oracle in the previous game. So one Oracle for scouting is enough? If that's the theory, I don't hate it, I guess, but I do think it's a relatively weak play when you just go for a single Oracle. Like this Oracle also has the cost of the Stargate attached to it, right? So you gotta add to the cost of this Oracle 150 minerals and 150 gas. It is a lot. Did it do anything? Did it pay for itself? Not really. Killed a creep tumor. Forward base has been taken as well by Hero. Obviously, one of the nice advantages of those early game Oracles is that they're the only unit here that the Zerg player can't really touch. So Zerglings, they can't really get much done against Oracles when they're being aggressive. So even though there's only one of those bad boys doing its little dance in the middle of the map, it is still going to be quite annoying here for the Zerg player to deal with. It's going to prevent a bunch of early game link floods at the very least. Very quick blink. What are we going to use the blink for? Well, I'm assuming the idea, since both of them have expanded towards the middle of the map, I'm assuming Hero is going to skip the Robo facility and just warp in reinforcements in this section of the map and then just send them up. Keep dancing back and forth. Maybe use a shield battery or two. Try to get some new shields on some of the weakened Stalkers. And just begin the dance. Oracle looking around. Sees the timing of the lair. It's about 450. 445. We have a Roach Warren already finished. Blink is about, well, maybe 80% of the way done. Yeah, no, I do think Serral's gonna get a scout at this. My god, Serral's so good with the freaking scouting, man. How is he coming in from this perfect angle and sees everything once again? This really is a theme in Serral's Zerg versus Protoss in particular. The man is always fully aware of what's going on. So he now knows it's been a single Oracle opener. He now knows that it's been a quick Twilight Council. So he knows that his opponent is gonna have to go Stalkers. And it turns out he has the perfect amount of workers to fight this once again. 60 drones, much faster third base, of course. It's gonna give him a nice economical boost. Now he's gonna start making Roach Ravager. I mean, he does lose the gas, I guess. That's fine. Queen also ends up going down. Gas can be rebuilt. Not a huge deal. I do quite like it, though, that Hero has decided to snipe it, but we're gonna go straight Hydralisk, too. I think Serral is looking at this. He's like, yo, I think I can get away with this. I should be able to deal with the very first influx of Stalkers using just Roaches and Ravagers. Some Zerglings, of course, in the mix, too. Ultimately, Hydras are amazing against very heavy Stalker-based armies, assuming you have both of the upgrades done. So you do have to make that transition here into the Hydra relatively early, because it takes a while to get those upgrades finished. But that Hydra Den is a very confident Hydra Den, because I don't think Hydras are really an investment that's going to be paying off for like 3 or 4 minutes after you put down that Hydra Den. Maybe 2 minutes. Anyways, it takes a while before it's worthwhile. It's one of those situations where, like, if Serral would have actually felt pressed, right? If he felt like he would have actually been in a rough position, I think he would have, well, skipped the Hydralisk Den for sure. He's even going Infestation Pit, so he's just continuing the dance. Yeah, not respecting the Stalkers very much at all. Or respecting them just enough. Maybe that's a better way to put it. Alrighty, now Hero's got a good economy, of course, now too. He's preventing the Zerg from making additional drones here with this aggression of his. Serral continuously producing army. The only thing that hasn't really gone Serral's way here is that he decided to go +1 missile rather than +1 melee. But he made that decision before he knew that it was a quick Twilight play. So can't really blame the man all too much for that. Zealots going around the site. Transfusion right there on one of the queens. Zerg units are once more split up, and that Zealot run by is not going to achieve too much. Stalkers have their blink on cooldown right now, so some of them are going to find death. Another stasis ward, but yeah. He did add on another Oracle, by the way. I quite like the extra Oracle here. Zergling run by now doing something very similar as those Zealots tried doing. Serral, however, target fires down the Nexus, and this... Oh, no, cancel! Oh, this series, man. Is it gonna be one of those? Is it gonna be... Yeah, it might be one of those. This is the Serral that we have seen many times in the past, where he's making the best players in the world look very sloppy. There's the disruptors coming up though, and that's nice. Hive is about halfway done, so Vipers once more on the horizon. Lurkers are gonna be here as well in a few minutes from now. But Serral has started up the transition towards Hydras, and a ground-based army here from Protoss. I mean, other than, of course, the Disruptors and maybe, like, Colossi and all that. Hydras demolish it. If you have enough of them, they can deal a lot of damage to a gateway-based unit composition. Couple Zealots here, charging around the right. Couple Zerglings over here also trying to be annoying once again, but this time around, not so lucky. Now, there is an opportunity, though. I think this is a chance. Whoa, that was a chance right there for Hero to get some real damage done. He dealt nothing. That was 0 damage. That was the big surprise he had been building up. Disruptors get nothing done. And very soon we're gonna see Vipers once more hit the battlefield. Serral did, by the way, sneak out a couple drones. Okay, nice dodge on those biles. Lurkers on the high ground are finally gonna keep this gas alive. I mean, maybe it will fall one more time, yeah. But I think next time around it will probably get cleaned up by those Lurkers. Zealots not really achieving that much, and now Spine Crawlers are also on the horizon. We've got ourselves a Storm upgrade coming here. Okay. Couple Disruptor hits, not bad. Okay, that one also got some work done. Finally, Hero is starting to carve a little bit of damage on the Zerg side of the map. The Lurker Spine still left on the ground. Okay. Okay. My main concern is when those Lurker upgrades are all done. We're actually lacking one of the upgrades. We should see one more upgrade queued up in the Lurker Den. I think Serral's not getting it right now because he wants to prioritize spending his gas on, there it is, on just getting a couple more Lurkers. He also took an expansion here at the 3 o'clock and then also one right below it. These are just for the gas, so the gas mining is going to be pivotal. The more gas, the better the Zerg army at this point. Now Storm is going to finish up, and that's going to be a very nice, good abduction of, oh, another one. Yeah, this is what you get for not taking these gas geysers down. It's got to be real costly, but I think a second source of splash damage is a great addition right here for Hero. I don't think he really has an opportunity to make a transition towards like Skytoss or anything like that, although, yeah, he's thinking about it. Starts up to +1 air. Serral going into 3 Dropper Lords now, too. We'll have to see if it's going to be Zerglings or Lurkers. Yeah, judging by these guys, I think it's going to be Lurkers. They are going to be moving in. Okay, feedback is an opportunity too on those High Templars, so the Vipers decide to back off. Nematized Carapace is finishing up soon. Lurkers are going to be able to go inside of this. Serral sent the perfect amount of Lurkers too. Very nice. Spire coming up. Okay. And even though I feel like it's a dangerous decision, Hero is making the call to go into a Skytoss now. He wants to go and transition into that big late game army. If he can get there, it's going to be amazing. Oh, good feedbacks, good Novas. Keep in mind that feedback, as always, outranges all these spellcasters. I'm a little afraid for the Lurker drop, though. The Lurker drop can put in a lot of work. Ultimately, this fight in the middle is nice, but it's not very important. It's not really fighting for anything. In the meantime, big Roach Ravager link push right at the front. Lurker's still in the middle of the map trying to keep this all going. Now we're gonna see the harassment on that gas geyser too. Nice storm right there by Hero. In the meantime, he's also cleaning this up. Now the Lurkers, though, have arrived inside of the main base. They're dropping out of the Overlords. So Hero just invested a ton of his resources into a potential Skytoss transition. But he doesn't really... I feel like it was slightly early. Now he loses his upgrades too. Main problem is that he just doesn't have a ton of money here to quickly reinforce, especially if he doesn't spend it, though, because he does have some resources right now. We have robo facilities. We have 2 of them. I would love to see some production in those, Hero. Another nice abduction. He's very busy microing the troops that he does have. There are 6 gateways in total. It'll be quite difficult to spend all the cash using just those units. If the mothership can come out, life would be doable. but I think the lurkers are going to be able to shut it down at this rate. Mothership, of course, takes a long time to produce, and indeed, the Nexus will fall. Serral's going to sacrifice these units. He knows he's... yeah, got more where that came from, so instead he's now distracting the entire Protoss army in the main base. He's going to go into a Greater Spire, too. Colossi will indeed be forced out. Extended Thermal Lance is coming up. Those Stargates still not really being made... oh, I accidentally abducted a Zergling. Yes, you can abduct friendlies, by the way. He was targeting a disruptor there. Rarely do we see a Zergling abducted, though. Maybe you can use it to save some of your important units. Not to say Lenny the Zergling isn't important, but I do think it's a waste of energy. Anyways, middle of the map is gonna get cleaned up. Hero now forced to go around. And while this is a much better game for Hero than game number 1, he is still just outclassed. Like, some fights were going his way. Some of the gameplay was decent, right? Like, it was good enough to really contest with the Zerg. But ultimately, Serral just seems a little bit faster and a little bit better here so far. Supply count right now of Protoss is plummeting. Main base, natural are gonna obviously be mined out. Hydra's once more going down south. The other half of the Zerg army here is fighting the main part of the Protoss. This Nexus is gonna fall one more time. And like a house of cards, all of it is tumbling down here. When it rains, it pours, man. Serral is absolutely dominant here. GG. Next up, we find ourselves on Oceanborn. Alrighty. A much better game 2 than game number 1 from Hero, but ultimately still not quite enough. But at least he wasn't mentally defeated, you know? I feel like a lot of players can very easily feel crumbled under that pressure in game number 1, and then the rest of the series looks like a bit of a disaster. Not the case there for Hero at all. Sentry? Really? Are we gonna tickle Overlords? You guys wanna know how many shots from a Sentry it takes to kill an Overlord? 10 tickles. Okay, sorry, no. Sorry, no tentacle jokes. Tentacle jokes are not allowed. I've been made fun of those, and no, we can't do that. We can't do that. Anyways, additional gateways coming up here for Hero. So he is actually mixing it up. It is a 4-gate on 2 bases. A 4-gate? 10 tickles? 4 gates. What else do we have here, Hero? I'm actually not sure what to make of this. So he'll be able to make a bunch of stuff, but none of it is going to be very strong. Like, all of the good units that you can make out of a gateway require upgrades. So you can, I guess, make a bunch of stalkers and stuff, but they're not going to be that great. Without a prism, without blink, it's going to be very mediocre. Serral right now is starting to notice that something is a little fishy. He hasn't seen a Stargate, he hasn't seen a Stargate unit, he hasn't seen a 3rd base. He goes for a much quicker Roach Warren than in the previous game, so this may very well be the key. That Roach Warren is about a full minute earlier, and he gets the perfect scout. Every time. Every time it's a perfect scout. So what are we actually gonna produce? We're making adepts, I guess? It's just a Nexus going down for now. This is a pretty quick Nexus. Well, you know what? I quite like this here from Hero, considering he hasn't done any damage with Oracle openers anyways. He seems to be transitioning away from that. Now, this is probably... yeah, we want them to at least, you know, touch shoulder to shoulder. Because if we're kind of doing like a line of adepts and they can all be surrounded individually, it defeats the purpose. So, okay, well, cool idea. 9 out of 10 for the idea. 6 out of 10 for the execution so far, Hero. Maybe the follow-up? That's a lot of adepts. We could have easily had glaives done at this point too, right? The glaive adept upgrades. Okay. Well, you know what? What I like about this is that this is kind of a random early game build here from Hero, right? He's putting on a bit of pressure, but he's not really dealing damage. But the nice thing is that this is such a quick 3rd base that he doesn't really need to deal damage. If you look at the worker count, it is actually slightly ahead right now. Slightly in favor here of the Protoss player, because Serral has been looking at this. He's like, well, I've got like, you know, 40-something workers. I need to be real careful that I don't die to like a 2-base all-in that is done with a 3rd Nexus. It's quite difficult here for the Zerg to figure out exactly what's happening. And even though he did get a really nice scout, I can imagine that this is not something Serral has got nearly as much practice against. So he's respecting it enough, but not, you know, not too much. Yeah, he has gone back into the drone production. 10 additional bad boys now on that production tab, and he already has finished the lair. Oh, he's putting his opponent maybe on like a Dark Templar follow-up or something a little bit funky. I think one of those will probably be used for scouting, and the other one will probably be used for... Oh, maybe both for scouting. Anyways, I was thinking one with the army. Yeah, okay, one with the army and then one for scouting. Infestation Pit. Could be swarm hosts? I don't think it will be. I think it's instead just for a fast hive once more. But that would be a really fast hive. Like, that would be a hive before an Evo chamber, which is what throws me off a little bit here. He does fire up a couple overlords. Okay. Maybe it's swarm host. I haven't really seen Serral play a lot of swarm hosts, but there's an Evo chamber coming up. He's looking around. Trying to remove certain options off of the great list of Protoss strategies. Nope, it's just for a hive. That's a very fast hive though, considering the circumstances. Considering this was essentially a 2-base opener from Hero with a 3rd Nexus, right? Some early game aggression. To have a pre-7-minute hive on the back of it is really fast. It's interesting, because for years, in recent StarCraft memory, Zerg was always played as a lair tech type of race, right? So you would have about a dozen different options. They were all viable when you got the lair tech. Mutas, Swarm Host, Nidus Worms, Queen Walks, Queen Drops, Ravager all-ins, Hydra pushes, Hydra Link Bane, Roach Ravager, right? Like all of those options really unlock when you get to that 2nd tech tier. But it seems like all the Zerg players have decided that no, none of that is actually worth it anymore. We are just going hive, we are just going lurkers. This is how we do it. None of those nice mid-game options that were once all viable are actually worth pursuing anymore. It's a little bit of a shame. I feel like we see, when it comes to like high-level StarCraft, we do see a little bit of variety from Zerg, but I wouldn't mind seeing more of it. Like, we see the occasional Ultralisk play, I guess, but most of the mid-game strategies are all very much so thrown out of the window. It's the same for like Brute Lord rushes. We used to see Brute Lord rushes a lot. Also, no longer the case. They're maybe made in conjunction with a bunch of lurkers, but yeah, it's all variations of the same theme. Like, ultimately, Zerg tries to arrive at a lot of lurkers, and a lot of gas, and a lot of tech. But a lot of passivity, too. To be fair, a lot of those strategies have been nerfed, so... The Queen rushes and all that. I was always a fan of them. I thought they were fun, but... they certainly have been nerfed quite a bit. Well, actually, it's not even that significant. I think the most significant nerf... Oh, nice force field. I like that one here. Serral's gonna try and pop those force fields, but I think some of these units are still gonna be stuck. Can we do one more? Oh, I missed it! Oh, come on, hero! Alright, anyways. Yeah, the fact that queens can no longer transfuse off creep kinda forced the Zerg's hand, I guess. No longer that valuable of a threat unless you're really far ahead. Okay. Couple Dark Templar running in. They touch while they're running. They're very close. They're hugging each other while they run. It's a dangerous play, but if you have the same movement speed, it's totally reasonable. Zerg going around the site right now, though. Blinding Cloud? Ooh, Blinding Cloud on top of that little clump would be kind of nice. Nah, he's gonna preserve the energy. No need to waste it. We already do have a fleet beacon, by the way. Ooh, okay. Ooh, Blinding Cloud to save his butt as well. Great dodge right there from the Zerg against that Disruptor. But it looks like Hero's got enough stuff. He may not have a dominating amount of supply at the moment, He may be 50 supply behind, but he's got enough. Yeah, to push this Zerg army back. In the meantime, though, Zerg is going to go into the additional lurker production. We have the adrenal glands upgrade coming up. We've got the +1 melee, +2 missile. 13 lurkers is 1,300 gas. That is a lot. Mama's coming up again, though. Hero has been making a lot of Mama ships lately. Tempest. Ooh, okay. I didn't even notice a Tempest on the production tab. That's a little curious to me. I don't mind it, but... yeah, he's been messing around with Tempest a lot more. I feel like Tempests are considered to be, like, universally the worst unit in the entire game for a long time now. There's a couple of units that are pretty bad, but I feel like Tempests are the top of the pile. But he's been getting a lot of value out of them. In this particular tournament, for example, he's been playing them a ton. There are some units that are worse, I think, than the Tempest. But they're like designed to be worse, if that makes any sense. Like, Swarm Hosts, yes, they're worse, but nobody wants them to be... ooh, okay. Nobody really wants them to be better. Nice Novas right there from Hero. In addition, he's also buying a ton of time here against this Zerg push. And he needs it. Yeah, there's a quick transition right here towards those Tempests, though. It's kind of curious. These roaches are, yeah, I was gonna say, they're mostly sacrificial. He doesn't really want to have roaches anymore at this point, but to just give them away is also quite a suboptimal option. Double Spire here for Serral. One of them is becoming greater. The other one is, well, a minor Spire? No, just a regular Spire. Anyways. I like this here, though, from Hero. So the idea is that we can use the Revelation of the Oracle, throw that onto the lurkers, and then deal damage with the Tempest from a distance. And ultimately, there's not a lot of Zerg units in this this composition right now for Serral that shoot up. Big Zergling run by, at least attempted. Ravager manages to defend, even though it did nothing. Ooh. Okay. Nice little set of plays right there from the Zerg player. And he's noticed the Tempest production for a while now, so he's gonna go double upgrades. And I like that he went for a greater Spire first, because that means he can always follow up with Brute Lords, right? So there's this weird moment sometimes where Zerg players make like 20 Corruptors, they absolutely destroy all of the Skytools units, and then they die to a Stalker transition, because they, you know, have a lot of supply caught up into Corruptors that can't deal damage to the ground. So to have the Greater Spire ready to go, it means that Serral can jump in, kill all of the Tempest, go back home with the Corruptors, morph them into Brute Lords, and then have a great counter as well against a, well, Ground Toss follow-up that is likely to follow if the Skytools army ends up going down. I think every Zerg player on the ladder has experienced that at least once or twice. Where you're like, oh, I killed the Skytools, and now I died to 20 Gateway units. Because I have so much supply caught up in Corruptors that I can't morph into Brutes. In the meantime, we have a bit of a mass recall flank right here from Hero. All right, I love that play. Mama was trying to be sneaky, but Mama is also the biggest Protoss unit. Yeah, there's a Yo Mama joke there somewhere, but I'm not gonna make it, because people get upset at me. Anyways, I love this play though from Hero, because he's making it look like the mothership is actually one of the best units in the game, right? Like, he's been getting so much value out of it. In the meantime, though, there's a huge Zerg counterattack. The Roaches and the Zerglings that were still left over have just been sent straight across the map. Serral says, yo, you kill my base? I don't care. I can just cancel it. I'll just defend and buy a ton of time right here with my Lurkers and with all of my Corruptors. Is there enough, though, for Serral to actually defend at home? Of course, Mama's gonna go down. But the Lurkers, I think, are going to buy enough time, and ultimately this exchange is still extremely well managed by Serral. Yeah, he looked at that recall once, and he's like, yo, I actually don't care. I'll just do my big counterattack that I've been looking to do this entire time. You kill a bunch of my units, sure. You force me to cancel my hatchery, sure. But that is going to be a lot less damage than I am dealing on your side of the map with my Zerglings and my Ravagers. Okay. A lovely play right there. By the Zerg, who's now gonna follow this up with Infestors. Okay, double upgrades continue. The second mom is coming up. Also known as the stepmother ship. She's gonna be joining the battlefield here in just a moment. And we will have a lot of Infestors that will join the Zerg army. Is there a neural parasite yet? No, I don't think so. No neurals. So at the very least, that's something here. Yeah, I think these roaches and these ravagers were supposed to, I mean, I don't want to be a jerk about it, but I think they were supposed to die a long time ago. They take up too much supply. So even though Serral is just sort of throwing them away here, they've gotten an extreme amount of value throughout the game. Okay, so, Brute Lord's coming up. +3 melee, +2 armor, burrow. This is once again a little bit better though than game number 1 and 2. But Hero needs to get something done with this army now very soon, because this is one of those setups right now that gets worse over time, right? Like Protoss can't really easily expand from here. All of his bases are quite disconnected. So it can be difficult here for Protoss to really get much done. But this is an army that needs to be respected. Serral's got the ground army covered. The Tempest here, 10 of them, are quite scary though. There's only 11 Corruptors. Nice fungal growth here, makes it difficult for most of that Protoss army to retreat. Yep, and the Brute Lords now can close the distance. Fungal growth also makes it difficult for those Tempests to get away. 2 of them go down. A third one will be joining in. There's the mothership once again joining the battlefield. The lost supply from the Zerg here is going to be replaced with additional Corruptors, and well, those upgrades are all just about to kick in. So Serral will be more than happy with this Protoss army retreating back home. In the meantime, there was 1 lurker, 12 confirmed kills. That expansion also in a world of trouble. There has never been a moment in this entire series where Hero has felt comfortable. Serral has just been one step ahead in every way. He's prepared for every move from Hero, and he's been fully aware of exactly what the Protoss player is going for. I mean, the early games have been a little bit tricky, maybe a bit difficult to read, but mistakes like that, I haven't seen them from Serral, you know? Like, yeah, he may have lost a few units unnecessarily here and there, but ultimately StarCraft 2 is a game of mistakes. Usually the player that makes less is the one that ends up winning. We are going to see a big recall towards that Nexus up north, but what is this going to achieve? Now it means that that recall ability is on cooldown. Now, the mothership is down at the bottom of the map still, so at least there's an easy way for Protoss to make its way towards the bottom left. Serral also predicting that the Protoss army would indeed be engaging in the top right-hand corner of the map next. Recall is going to be happening down south, so Hero's sending his entire army from the top of the map all the way down to the bottom of the map. Has he finally found an angle using the Zerg immobility here against the Zerg player? And finally he's getting something done, I think. Okay, yeah. I mean, he could commit a little deeper, but he sort of expected that Zerg would be more ready for this too. Lurkers in the meantime, though, going after one of the very important tech structures. Neural Parasite on the production tab too. 3-3 coming up here. You know what? Even though there was an opportunity here for Hero, he has been bullied one too many times that he already flinched. He expected that the Zerg army would be here to defend that base. So even when he finally managed to catch Serral off guard, he still did not go in for the kill on that expansion. Okay. Hero's going in for another base though. He's now gonna go for the Flux Veins. Oh, big fungal. Big fungals. Flux Veins together with the Void Ray transition, but ultimately, I've got a feeling that the Zerg army is just getting out of control right now. Extremely expensive. The only thing that it doesn't have is speed. Okay, Zealot run by gets the job done. Fair enough. You know what? If this keeps going on for another couple minutes, life does get better for Hero in the long run, because Serral doesn't really have easy expansions to go to right now. I would imagine his easiest base to get is this one, but that's right next to where Protoss is located. So if this goes on for like another 5 minutes or so, Hero will actually find himself in a very playable spot. For now, I still am favoring Serral here, who's once more going in deep. He has no Vipers here. There is a Viper out on the battlefield, but nice storms, forcing the Zerg player to split up. A recall is going to be used once more, so half of that Protoss army is going to disappear, but it also means that a lot of units will indeed stay behind. The Brute Lords immediately smell blood in the water, and they're going to be using their little children to snipe the leftover Protoss units. Now, luckily here for the Protoss, he only actually recalled to the Nexus that was right next door. Or maybe to the mothership? I don't know exactly where the recall went. No, it must have been to that Nexus. Okay, we did have an attempted neural parasite there. In the meantime, the Hydras, the Zerglings, and the Lurkers have found another base. Serral looks at it, doesn't need that much. So he decides to only leave behind the bare necessities. And cool guys don't look at explosions, apparently. This fight has also been directed by Michael Bay. Okay, so that was the lifeline, I think. Recall? Another big recall. I love the recall plays, though, from Hero. Oh, microbial shrouds? Abductions, though. I think there's just not enough stuff anymore. All of this has been going real well. I mean, this is one of the best fights Hero could ever be taking, but Serral's not even killing the mothership because he knows the mothership is dead. She just doesn't know it yet herself. Yeah, look at her. Finally, he decided to shift his attention for a little bit, but she wasn't gonna go anywhere. Lurker's still available. Hero needs to effectively win the game with this army that he's got here right now, but there is just no way for him to get it done. Serral is looking incredibly dominant in this series. I would say that game number 3 here has been the most difficult one for him overall. But there is still really no chance for Hero to get a point on the board. GG is called. It's the Zerg here who wins 3-0.